What's the scariest moment that ever happened to you in a video game then?
What is this? That's kind of hard to answer because scary video games with me, I tend to have like a laugh at breaking them. So whatever is scary, in my opinion, it hasn't scared me too bad in horror game wise. There's what would be the scariest fucking moment in games?
Or even scariest game you've ever played?
That's even harder to answer.
Minecraft and hardcore, man. Ooh.
Oh, dude. Oh my god, what would be the fucking scariest fucking dick and duck and dick and
I remember, I didn't play the game, but in WarioWare Gold, there's unintentionally a really scary game mode where you're playing the game just normally, but then there's the mother, and you have to hold, you have to hold two buttons and pretend you're asleep as she's walking through the room, and I don't know why, but shit like that is terrifying.
Yeah, I know that game exactly where you have to like wake up and play video games, like, isn't it? You have to play a video game or something.
Yeah, you're pretty much playing WarioWare Gold.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you'd hear subtle cues as you're about to bust through the door, even come through the fucking TV or walk by the window.
Yeah. I'm looking through my games that I've played right now to see which one scared me the most. And not a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
that reminds me.
Being scared in games doesn't.
So another traumatic experience that happened to me when I was only 3 years old, playing video games. So when I was 3, I got my GameCube, which is currently behind Matthew on the shelf. Nice. So that came with Luigi's Mansion, and 3-year-old me was like, okay, that's too much for me, man. Then all of a sudden, this game appears on top of my other games. It's called Resident Evil.
Ah, yes.
And
I would say Resident Evil.
The remake.
Yeah.
Which is also behind you on one of the shelves of the video games.
Oh my god.
But, so, I put that game in because it's a new game. I'm like, ooh, what's this? And it opens with this like intro cinematic of a zombie in a corpse bag, and it begins to sit up slowly and it gets shot in the head. And I'm like, okay. And then, of course, the title sequence, Resident Evil. Yeah. And I play the game. The opening cinematic scares me when they're going through the woods. The zombie dogs. You're in the mansion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a bit scary. I didn't know why I didn't turn it off then and there. And then I think I was playing as Chris as well, so there was no Barry. But you go into the room.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
But you walk through the room, and when I encountered the first zombie and he's munching on that guy and he turns around, a reasonable person would calmly turn off the GameCube. Nope, I ripped it from the fucking wall. I was like, I grabbed the console, like, trying to pull it out, trying to get the power cable out.
That's such a good, like, zombie, like, I just want to mention that like moment in that game is it's such a good like animation. I guess
the eye rolling, just looking.
Yeah, even if you look at the original one, it's super fucking good. It like looks like a game that would have been made when like PlayStation 2 GameCube era would have came out. It's so good looking. And then, by the way, I figured out my favorite like scare in a game, but you can keep going for the time being.
Now here's the kicker. The other day, because I had that Resident Evil installed on my Xbox, I got my sister to come in and try it out, and she was laughing the entire time.
With Resident Evil?
Yeah, she thought, I was like, oh my god, you called this scary? And my little 3-year-old self was just like, shut up.
Oh, right. Yeah, because I haven't gotten really too scared by a game in recent times. So the game I can only remember of me being scared of was a game called Brave, which is kind of ironic, being called Brave and being scared in the game, which I do want to buy again, by the way, but it's
I've
really
never heard of it.
It's like, so you're playing as like a Native American kid who he has to travel like really far or something for like, I think his sister or something, or I can't actually remember the plot all too well because it's a really old game. still trying to find the game so I can play it again, and I finally beat it and be like, yeah, I beat it. So,
I conquered my fears.
Yeah, there's this one. It actually has like a lot of really well developed shit in it that I was like, wait, how is this a game? It's a PlayStation 2 game, by the way, so that's obviously best generation game. But like,
best way to play Silent Hill 2.
It has like a cold meter, so like you have to have a stick, put it on fire, and like keep yourself warm. And then like after it like has a light engine where like this is where it scared me. You go into a certain cave, right? And you don't fight anything, like you fight like I think a few animals outside or whatever that are trying to kill you or stuff with like with a stick. But once you go into a cave, right, it's completely dark. And like you're like, whoa, this is really dark. Like really, I can't see shit, kind of dark. So you're like, I'm walking in, and you're meant to bring a torch in, right? But I didn't bring a torch. So it's like, where is this going? And then like there's a section where you climb on the wall. I'm like, okay, it's just climbing up the wall. So I climbed up the wall. But then like you get to a point, and this is when I was like 5 or 6 or something like that. Okay, and like tons of like bugs, like glowing bugs just come out, and you're like, I was like, oh my fuck, I don't want to play this part. And like I remember I did get by it as at some age, I can't remember. It was probably like a year later because I got super horrified by that game. I was like, it's so dark. The bugs are creepy as shit. But I did get by it because it's actually a really short thing. But
the fear lasts a lifetime.
Yeah, and it was a really good moment where I was like, wow, I learned the lesson there.
Stop being a bitch and just get on.
Yeah, but I couldn't get past this one part where you have a really long stretch that you have to go through in snow, and there's a freeze meter. So, and I couldn't get by it because the torch goes out after a while, and you're like, you just kind of collapse and die, and you're like, what the fuck?
That reminds me of the most unfortunate thing that happened to me while playing the second Metro game. So Metro, you're pretty much, the point of the game is
that Last Light or
Last Light? I think it is. That's just for conversation's sake. Let's say it is.
Yeah, okay.
And the whole point is it's set in Russia. People are living underground because there was a nuclear war and it's radiated above.
I do know the moment you're talking about. I think if it's the same moment.
You'll understand the context.
Yeah. Sorry.
So underground, you have to scavenge. Like the cool thing about that series is the currency of the game is bullets. And you need bullets to kill the things.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's parts of the game where you have to go above ground and you need gas mask filters.
Yeah.
And the certain section I'm in, I only had 20 seconds of filter left. So I kept dying, and that's when my gameplay ended. Because I'm like, oh, I literally can't make it through this part because I'm just going to keep dying.
That was the same when I first played through the first game. Because I had the first game, and I remember...
2033.
Yeah, and I remember our... intern had the Last Light, so I think I played Last Light a little bit, but the first time I played 2033, I got to a point where I just got lost in a building, and it auto-saved at a certain point in the building, and I had very little like gas left, filter left, and I was like, what the hell am I meant to do now? I have a little amount of time left, and I have to find the exit to this building, which, by the way, I was on the top floor. Which, I mean, like, was I meant to like go down like some step? I couldn't find where the fuck to go, so I was stuck up on the top floor. I was like, where the fuck do I go? And I had no filters left, and I was like, I'm fucked now. I'm like, this is fucked. I don't know what else to do. Yeah, and I had to end my game there because I was like, I've already used up all the filters in the building, and I didn't know where to go after. So I've replayed the game, and I remember with filter wise, I stocked up a lot.
I'm never making that mistake again.
Yeah, and then I got stuck again because I think there's these flying creatures.
I know the ones you're on about.
Yeah. They're really fucking annoying to shoot down, and this is when. I can't remember when I had like 2033, but it was. I should have been better in FPS shooters. Although to be honest, the one I played the most when I was like younger was Halo, and that has like an auto kind of like the moment you
bullet
go over
magnetism.
yeah. So I'm just like, so there's that, but like 2033 had like the Call of Duty thing where you have to be like precise and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I struggled a lot at shooting those fucking birds, and I was like, oh, fuck it, I give up, I quit. Then I can't remember when I beat that game, but I remember the ending was disappointing because it leads into Last Light. Because
sequel bait.
Yeah, it shows you like a figure or something, and you're like,
what's that about? And then the game just ends.
Yeah,
but
I think it has an ending of itself. Because you do save people or something or other. I can't remember. All I remember is that when our intern got the game, or like Last Light. Sorry, he got Last Light. They changed the voice actor. So when I actually first like,
damn.
Yeah, and by the way, I actually witnessed the second game before I played the first game. So I didn't know they were the same character because they changed the voice actor. So I was like, what? Like, so when I played the first game, I was like, oh, so this is like a completely different story to the second game.
Nope.
I was like, no. He just changed. I actually think it's the same voice actor. He just changed his Russian accent to be like a little
coherent.
Maybe.
Not too Russian when they're talking like this, and it's very stereotypical.
Yeah. And then I remember like once I played through that game, like, and beat it, because it took me a while, because I remember I got stuck so many times in that game. I was like, it took me a while. So I think after that it was they remade them into the Redux collection.
The longest this is about to open some old wounds. The longest game that took me to beat was Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
So I was playing that game since the Nintendo 64.
Yes.
And I could never beat it.
Yeah.
And then I got it for the Xbox 360. I could never beat it. Then I reinstalled it on my Xbox One. And I finally beat it after 20 fucking years. Like, I love and hate that game because it's such a, like, it's bittersweet, and now I have a little tribute to fucking Banjo beside you up there.
Yeah.
That, like, it's just, video games can hurt, man. But, so, some horror games I recommend is Dead Space 1 and 2, Resident Evil 7, and Remake, and Cyberpunk.
5. Resident Evil 5 as well.
Let's just ignore that last one I said.
Cyberpunk. It's a horror game. It's a mental game, alright? It's mental horror, alright?
Also, when did the Hourglass run out?
Tuesday.
Oh, we got 10 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Horror games I would recommend. Your mom. No.
I'd recommend Joe.
Joe
Mama.
Anyways, horror games that I would actually recommend to somebody. I would actually recommend Resident Evil 5. It's not a horror game whatsoever, but it's super fun. It's really fun.
Is.
But what you call it? I think what's another good horror game? Silent Hill. There's like a couple of good Silent Hills. Silent Hill 2.
But unfortunately, the only good way to play them is on the PlayStation 2.
Yes.
Because with the remasters, they get rid of the fog.
Yeah.
And the reason the fog was there was to hide the fucking crap texture quality.
Yeah.
But it also enhanced it at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, you're not a gamer if you don't have a PlayStation 2. I don't know. But yeah. I guess other games I would recommend is Brave. If you've,
I'd never heard of it until now.
It's a fun game. That's all I'll say. It's a fun game. Like, I remember you fight a bear. Like, the first boss is a bear, and you have to use a bow, I think, to kill it, or you get a bow. it's just a really fun game, and like the character designs are like really cool. They're like their forearms are like really thick compared to their like biceps and stuff. It's character designs are like super fun, and I just remember that game being really fun. And now I'm like, I look up CEX, right? And I'm like, does any CX have this game? Please tell me it has this game, because this game is so
eBay might
fun.
be your next best.
Yeah, but eBay's like so annoying because you're like, you have to talk to the fucking person who's selling it. Sometimes technically eBay just sells shit and just like, yeah, here, we'll send it off.
I mean, that's where I got my bonks.
Bonks?
Bionicles.
Oh, Bionicles. Oh, right.
And the one time I ever bought from a scalper as well. So that Halo Mega Block thing beside you. Yeah. So when Comic-Con was going on and they were selling it, it was $20, right? But for everywhere else in the world, it was $80 delivery. And I'm like, fuck that. So I went on eBay one day, and a scalper was selling it for €30 with like €10 delivery. So I'm like, okay, that's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's the only time I ever bought from a scalper because it was cheaper for me. So the scalper actually lost.
Man, I think if I was to name my favorite games that I would recommend to people to play, it's Sonic 3. And I mean like
Sonic and Knuckles 3?
Yes, yeah. Them combined, because that's the best. Like that's the best Sonic experience, I think. And also,
the Sonic Mega Collection somewhere in my GameCube box.
There's like a there's the Mega Drive collection that like you can get on Steam. That is
pretty
like,
cool.
I think it's the best way to experience all Sega games back then, because there's some like stupid fucking fans that are like, you didn't beat it properly if like if you use the rewind tool, you didn't beat it properly, all right?
If it's there for a reason.
You're just a pussy. And it's just like, no, these games are kind of still flawed at a, like, don't get me wrong, you can still play it. It's like, the more you get like skilled at the game, yeah, fuck it. You like play it however the fuck you want to play. But that's what that like collection does. If people just want to experience that game, the rewind thing is perfect for them because they don't like the death count. Meaning Sega also don't have to like remake the game, which is super awesome because they usually fuck up when they remake a game. But like they don't have to remake a game to incorporate like, hey, do you want to play with like infinite lives, or what lives do you want to like you don't have to do that if you just have a rewind function. If you have a rewind function, then everyone's happy. You don't have to do anything. And it's it's cool. It's epic. Another game, The Messenger. Another game, Blasphemous. Another game, Sonic Adventure.
Which one? One or two?
Just one. Second one sucks. That's gonna
rolling around at the speed of sound.
The songs are awesome. I won't lie about that. The songs are fucking legendary. But
one of my favorite games of all time is Resident Evil 7. A game I've never felt so engrossed in a game like that one.
Yeah. Oh, and also XCOM 2. XCOM 2 is a really good game.
Tactical game, isn't it?
Yes. It's like perfect games. What are perfect games? Sorry, I'm going through Steam at the moment. Okay, perfect games don't exist.
Minecraft.
Your mom. I think I've said everything. Sonic Adventure, Sonic 3, that's a good game. I think... Sorry, I'm like looking through all my... I wish you could like look through... I wish you can... On phone wise, you could look through... what you call it? You could look through your favorites. Because I did make a favorites of games. Portal
2 as well.
Yeah, great games. Phenomenal games, actually. They're like fucking all-star classics. Spiritfarer, if you haven't played that, that's a great game. There's a lot of indie darlings in this that I'm like, look at that. That's a beautiful game right there. Yeah. Great games. Great games. Also, yeah, I also want people to know that The Messenger, the people who made The Messenger, one of my favorite all-time fucking games. The Messenger is amazing. I love The Messenger. But one of my, like, it has a really, 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 like, hyped up for me, right? Like, kind of prequel to it coming out. It's like an RPG, so in kind of a Chrono Trigger kind of way, and they're showing their, like, on Twitter, they're going through, like, all where the game's at, and I'm like, every time they show something new on, like, where the development is, they're really good friends with the Gerard the Completionist. So,
oh yes, the beard dude.
Yeah. So he did a live stream with them, and I was like, yay, I get to see a gameplay of it. And, like, they've already showed off a bit of gameplay on it, and it looks awesome. I'm like, I'm so excited for it. These guys have such a huge passion, because when they made The Messenger, they had a huge passion for Ninja Gaiden and Metroid. So they made, like, a merger of those two games, and it's so good. It's, like, really fucking good. Now, I don't like a lot of Metroidvania type of games where, like,
the open levels and whatnot.
Well, I like Metroid. I like Metroid games. I don't like Castlevania games. Well, I like old Castlevania games, not like bless you. I like old Castlevania games, not like Symphony of the Night. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, Symphony of the Night's great, but I don't like the slash, like the sword slash shit that happens in those type of games, or like Hollow Knight, right? Loads of people love Hollow Knight, and I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything, but it's
you're gonna be the 1% who's like, well, actually,
it's not like I'll shit on somebody who likes it. It's like, that's fine, you can like
they're
it.
just wrong.
I don't like the sword slashing in that game. It doesn't feel satisfying, and maybe it does. I don't know. It's different for everybody, but, like, I don't like the sword slashing in that game. And The Messenger has my favorite thing, where it just has a lot of movement in its slashing. And I really like that. And this is weird of me to say, right? Because I don't like, and why I like Metroid more is because it has a shooty thing. Yeah, and
the rockets and the different things you can get for it.
It's great. I love that type of shit. But it's a Castlevania. It's like, it's going to always be the and I guess you'll get other things that, like, make it, like, you'll have this, like, 5-second invincibility thing to go and I'm like, that's okay.
OP.
Well, yeah. Well, like, The Messenger has, like, if you jump, press and hold the jump button, and then also press the attack button, he'll do a spinning glide thing that'll keep attacking, keep him moving in the air, keep him moving forward. I'm like, that is awesome. That's, like, a great fucking move. And I also say play Blasphemous, which is kind of the opposite of what I'm saying right now, because Blasphemous,
you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, Blasphemous has, like, a whole bunch of different, like, okay, well, Blasphemous also has more move sets. Now, I'm not saying Castlevania has move sets as well. It doesn't always go I love this, like, interpretation of the
carrot shaving.
Yeah. But Blasphemous I really like because it's story. It's, like, world building that they do. It's DLC that I like played, like, a couple of months ago, which I fucking adored. Like, I was scared of, like, doing the DLC because I was like,
well, it ruined my experience.
Yeah, because you have to beat all the bosses again to, like, unlock. Well, not all the bosses. It's a really good. I just love Blasphemous. I don't know. I just really like it. And then its final boss fight in the DLC, and also, actually, its final boss fight is a bitch. It's a bitch of a fight, and I fucking hate it.
If it was too easy, then it wouldn't be the final boss, would it?
Yeah. Which, by the way, to do the DLC for Blasphemous, you actually have to beat the game first, and then you have to ascend. So you have to basically everything you've just done, everything you build up for, destroy it. Like, you have to destroy that save file, and, like, you have to start again. And now the game is going to be harder.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
Unlike in Doom Eternal's DLC, where it's like, hey, even if you didn't beat the main game, everything's leveled up for you. All your weapons leveled up. Your Slayer's leveled. You're just.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that idea in Blasphemous is Dark Souls inspired. So, but it's still. But in Dark Souls, you can always do the DLC in the first thing. But in this, you have to play the DLC if you've beaten the game. And like, it's a really good game. And also, the guy who made Symphony of the Night, you know that like game he made, the Curse of the Blood Moon or something like that.
I've heard of it. Yes.
And it has that female 3D character that I think looks really gross. Like she has like a DLC in there as well. You don't have to ascend for that DLC though, but like she has a DLC in that where you have to like get the mirror pieces for her to return back to her world, which is like a platforming thing where that's all about movement, right? That's another thing, right? Blasphemous also has a lot of movement in it, which I like. And so does Symphony of the Night. Symphony has like this dash thing, which is a Metroid inspired. I don't know. I like movement in games, but like Symphony of the Night also has like a huge fucking character in the middle of the screen that you're like, he's too big. Like, I don't.
My favorite type of games are Twitch shooters, so like Doom Eternal and Titanfall 2. Rest in peace, that game, because it's more or less dead now. Certain platformers, the aforementioned Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, maybe Sunshine. I don't know, man. That one's a weird one. But
that is a weird one.
I don't know. I like fast games and horror games as well. So it's interesting that you say that, like, oh, it's fast movement, platforming. Yeah,
I mean, The Messenger is probably the best for fast movement, but oh no, it's a spoiler. I shouldn't say anything. Halfway through the game, there's a really good moment, like a really good moment where I was like, throughout the entire game, it's all jokes. That's another game, Owlboy. Holy fuck, Owlboy is amazing. Sorry, I'm just thinking of all the like indie games that I've played, and they're Owlboy is great. It's like kind of open world. Not really. It's not like Metroid in its own thing. You have like a party. Like you have a guy who's a gunner. You have a guy who's like a bomb. You have a guy who's a web sling. It's really interesting. That game also has an amazing twist halfway through it, where it's like, it's all fun. It's adventure. Yeah. And halfway, it's like,
where's the fun, guys? What's happening?
Yeah. It's like, uh-oh. Something bad happened, and it's a really good moment in that game. And The Messenger also is all played for like jokes, and at the halfway mark it's still played for jokes afterwards, but it's a really good thing. I don't know if I should say it, but I want to talk about it. That's why I want people to play it, so I can't talk about it. I want it to become like a complete classic, like a classic,
a cult classic at that.
Yeah, like where like everybody knows the ending and the twist. It's like, so I can talk about it.
But at the same time, like, like I said earlier, I'm jealous of people who got to experience the flood. Just because.
Yeah, I think that's why I love The Messenger so much, because I got to experience that, like, that fun, like,
because the scary thing about modern games nowadays is how quickly people beat them. Like, I remember when Resident Evil 8 came out, and I was really excited for it, and I was avoiding YouTube, social media. And then my phone starts to send me, like, you know, news notifications going, hey, here's a spoiler for this game. Like, no, get it away.
Yeah.
But it's just, the thing is, the thumbnail will be the spoiler.
Yeah.
And everything. It's like, it's so, like, even just in movies and just everything, it's so hard to enjoy things like that just because of that.
I think, what you call it? I'm trying to remember a movie that.
Oh, did I ever tell you how Endgame was spoiled on me 2 months in advance before it came out? So pretty much,
no, I don't think so.
2 months before the movie came out, I was just opening Instagram, and I went to, like, you know, your section, and in the first picture that came up was Captain America holding Mjolnir. So for 2 months, I knew that happened, and I was so fucking pissed. I'm like,
Mjolnir.
And that was like during screeners where like people weren't even allowed to have their phones in the room. So for 2 months, I knew Captain America picked up the fucking hammer in that movie.
Yeah.
And that rage was boiling inside me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell anyone. I was like, trust me, man, if you piss me off, I will ruin your life. But just shit like that, where like spoil culture is just a big thing now.
I know. I think what you call it. I used to like shows like that, right? That just told me what things before, because what you call it. I watched new rock stars who are always going in depth and trying to tell, like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Like,
and then it never does.
No, actually, they're actually quite fucking on point. It's only
Watch out, Matt Pat.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, they were always on point, like, so on point that, like, they always got everything right, which I was like, wow, these guys are really good. It was only after, like, I think a few employees, like, left or something that, like, no employees I don't think left, but, like, what you call it, I think
Kevin Feige sent his assassins.
No, but, like, I think Marvel started to realize that these guys are kind of like the main source to get like the actual accurate information. Because basically, right, they go through every comic, like, ooh, they like look through
nerds.
Yeah, like they go through like every comic that like this, like every time they hear a casting, right, or like a quick name drop before in a movie, like before, it's like they'll try to solve that puzzle instantly, and they're really good at it because they've gotten a good few with minor details being wrong.
Because theorizing and being like, you know, speculating is fun. When you're getting it right all the time, it kind of gets rid of the fun.
I know. That's why I was like, after a while, I stopped watching, because I was like, wow, I really amn't watching these movies anymore. I'm literally watching these movies and going, huh, so they were right.
I mean, look at the new Spider-Man that's going to be coming out. It's like, that movie could either be the most disappointing movie ever or the worst, best-kept secret of all time.
Yeah. Here, can I just say something?
No.
This is my personal theory on this movie. Doc Ock is a good guy.
I mean,
because
maybe.
he's a good guy in the second movie.
But if you look at the trailer, when his arm comes down, the lights are red, and that means that they're in control.
Does it?
I don't know. That's what the internet told me.
Oh, I don't think that's true. I think it's still red when he gains control. It's just that they're closed, so you don't see the red light.
I don't know. I'm not too excited for Spider-Man because I'm kind of just... It's one of those ones where you hear about every single day, and like I said, it's either going to be really good or not.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. And the fact that like we only got a trailer literally a few months before the movie comes out, and now I'm more excited about the Batman than Spider-Man.
Is Willem Dafoe Green Goblin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so, because when I heard the laugh, I was like, that's Willem Dafoe, isn't it?
I mean, more or less is. Like, I mean, Jamie Foxx confirmed he was coming back as Electro like 2 years ago. Alfred Molina pretty much said, yes, I'm returning as Doc Ock, and Kevin Feige was apparently really upset about that.
Yeah.
And you see, like, one of the only things I want to see in the movie is just Charlie Cox come back as Daredevil.
I do. I really want that as well. Yeah, I want the X-Men to come back. I want the X-Men just to be a thing. I want mutants to be a thing.
The thing about all these Marvel movies is they're getting so big. It's like, okay, is every movie just set up for the next movie that's set up for the next movie that's just set up?
Okay, actually, technically, all right, I did watch Shang-Chi. Great movie. Really fucking fun. Fight scenes, best in Marvel. Like, literally the best. I hate Marvel fight scenes because they're all the fucking same.
That wide shot in Civil War when they're running at the airport and it just looks so awkward. I hate it.
Dude, I hate so many Marvel fight scenes because they're the exact same. The exact same. I'm so shocked because when Corridor Digital, right, they talk about how, like, look how fun this fight scene is in the Marvel movie. I'm pretty sure they're saying that because the person who's beside them was doing the fight scene. But I'm like, they look really spastic and like really quick. Really, like, everything needs to be shown like really quickly. And I'm like, no. Shang-Chi does it really well because they're all wide shots and it's all continuous motions.
Hasn't anyone learned anything from John Wick?
Yeah, and there's a problem with the end of Shang-Chi, right?
Is it a big CGI fight?
There is that, but like,
take that off the list.
Yeah, but like, it's that I don't really mind. It just all of a sudden it just gets really dark. Like, they go into this mystical world.
Tone-wise, or
no, coloring wise. It just gets really dark. Like, it's weird, right? It's a place that they show and it's really bright because it's meant to be magical, right? Like, this is like this really nice garden and everything is like all green, all yellows and all reds, I guess. Reds. It's very bright colors, right? And blue, because it's all about like the water and but it's all very bright and it looks really nice. It's like it's all great, but then like a battle happens and I don't know what the fuck happens in Marvel battles, but every time a battle happens, even this is also a problem that I'm seeing in Infinity War, in Endgame. It's like, wow, all these luscious, beautiful places. Why is the ground brown? Like, like where once was grass and should not have been. I mean, okay, in Endgame, they got blown up. Makes sense why there's a lot of dirt everywhere. In Infinity War, there's a lot of yellow because it's all dry grass and shit. So, and that makes sense why that can also turn into dirt. And at the end of that that makes sense. But in Shang-Chi, it doesn't make sense. They're hand-to-hand combating each other. They're not exploding anything. Why is the ground suddenly dirty and like gross? I mean, and the monster that comes in doesn't touch the ground. So like that monster can't make that ground dirty. And then like there's like the final fight scene, like the actual proper one, not the CGI one, is on rocks. And it's all like completely dark black rocks. And
so you have this vibrant movie, but then in the last 20 minutes they decide, yeah, no, budget's gone.
Well, I don't think it's budget because there's a fuck ton of CGI there. But it looks not like great. Like the entire movie is so bright and colorful, and it's like, and it's really fucking good. But then. And again, it's not to say the fight scene was bad. The fight scene was actually, because again, Shang-Chi has like great fight scenes because they actually took inspiration from.
There's actual choreography.
Yeah, they took like a lot of inspiration from Chinese
martial arts and films.
Yeah, like from Jackie Chan shit, where it's like single, like one shot shit. Or that's not Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan still has like a lot of cuts. They took inspiration from. What's a good one that has like one long cut? Or like one long take of just.
When I think of movies like that, raid movies just come to my head.
Yeah, the raid's probably a good one to go for, which I don't think is Chinese.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, but it's inspired by that kind of fight scenes, right? And it looks great throughout the entire movie, and the end fight scene was kind of like that as well. It worked out really fucking well for them, but it was so dirty on screen that I'm like, it looks cool in times, but it also looks gross.
I mean, we all remember Black Panther.
Yes.
Interesting.
Black Panther fight scenes weren't great. I will give it that. The challenge fights,
yeah,
they had like far out shots that were like kind of nice looking, but my God, once they put on suits,
like fight scenes in general are just like, I remember in Taken 3 the shot of Liam Neeson hopping over a fence and there's 13 cuts of him hopping over a fucking fence.
Yeah,
it's just, you want to see the action. And one movie franchise that kind of didn't help this was the Bourne movies with the really fucking shaky cam.
Why was it out of that movie that is what became like the popular like what you call it, movie, what's the right word for it, the
technique,
the producers, right? The producers like, that's the cool thing about this, the shaky cam, the like the realism of it. I'm just like, no.
If someone was standing there watching a fight, they're not gonna be like, oh God.
By the way, you know what made it so much more jarring to me? That Shang-Chi had phenomenal fights, because I literally just watched Black Widow like the last week before that, and Black Widow has shit fights. Like shit fights. I can't stress this enough, that it tries to do the spy thriller thing, right? So it's like, it does the Jason Bourne thing. It just does really quick cuts, and like, it's not shaky cam, but it does really quick cuts, and I'm like, this looks shit. I fight scenes should be continuous shots, right? Because if there's one thing that also has proven this to me is a really good fight scene in Malignant. Like, it's like James Wan also knows how to do a really good fight scene. I think, didn't he do Aquaman as well?
He did, but I never watched it.
Aquaman has some amazing fight scenes, and it's really fucking fun. And he also knows how to use weapons correctly, like martial arts or like in fight scenes, especially in Marvel ones, hand-to-hand combat. But doesn't like Captain America have that shield thing? Yeah, but he's going to do a lot of hand-to-hand combat.
He's going to go pew off the walls, pew pew pew.
That's all he's going to do with it. Not like fight, fight, comes back, hits the person, bangs off that, and grabs it again. I mean, actually, he does do that sometimes. But like, yeah, I would say that like, James Wan knows how to like choreograph. Like, he probably didn't do the choreography, but he probably knew that like we need somebody who has knowledge
skill,
of like this certain thing. So when he did this fight scene in Malignant, it looks perfect, and especially the long cuts, because you have to like really take in what's happening. I mean, there's some cuts as well, but there's like, it's always like long cut. Like,
the only reason why there should be really camera cuts in a fight scene is if the action is moving out of the area where the fight is happening.
Yeah,
like a new shot showing a new part of the room, and that's one thing that the first John Wick does really well in the club fight.
Yeah,
like he does a lot of like about 5 to 10 second long action scenes, and then when he moves somewhere, camera cuts to another 5 to 10 action scene. They're like, they're not continuously long, but they're long enough that fight is over. Then he moves on to the next.
Yeah, I'm just so baffled that we're going to get more fight scenes like Black Widow that are
just
shit.
Marvel in general. Like, I'm just kind of
that's the one thing I think DC will always have one-ups on Marvel. Their fight scenes rock. Like,
yeah, like in The Dark Knight Rises when that guy just fell over nothing.
Okay, well, no, not that. I meant the DCEU. Like, Batman fighting a bunch of fucking goons.
The warehouse fight, of course. Top 10.
That fucking rocks. In the Super Man of Steel movie, right? When, what's her name? The girl.
I don't know her name, but the fight in Smallville?
Yes, where she just beats up a fuck ton of, like, that's fucking awesome. The fight scene in Wonder Woman. All the fight scenes in Wonder Woman. They're fucking awesome. Apart from maybe the batshit insane ending where like
the CG fight.
Yeah, the CGA fight. All of the fight scenes are really fucking good. In Justice League, I guess, has good fight scenes. I don't mean to say it, but like, no, Justice League doesn't have good fight scenes. It has Superman beating the fucking shit out of somebody, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and that went a bit too far. He's like, oh, Superman can't. Well, what are you doing with your lasers? Superman, no, he's already beaten. Like,
yeah. And then
Wonder Woman fucking decapitates him just because that's what Wonder Woman does.
Yeah, well, technically she would do that story-wise, but like, well, until we saw Wonder Woman 1984.
Don't lie, no one saw that one.
I did.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. It just reminded me of like old campy stories. I mean, obviously, if you pick it apart, it doesn't make sense whatsoever, and like it's kind of still kind of creepy about how she.
Yeah, the whole scene.
Yeah, it's still creepy, but in fairness, it's still a good fight. And it's not true love. The whole point of it is that she needs to give that up. It's a falsehood. You're not just wishing for something and allowing wishes to be existing is a problematic thing in of itself. You're solving something that needs to be solved through a long course of action.
And a lot of fucking therapy.
Yeah. So like in the movie, it does make sense why you see it as something bad, but she doesn't. It is bad. It's really bad. So it's good for like, I like that movie still. The fight scenes in that are also really cool. Also, DC's Aquaman, like I said before, had probably the best fight scenes in all of the DCEU. What's his name?
James Wan?
No, sorry, not director-wise. The movie, the Shazam. Shazam has okay fight scenes. It's still kind of fun. in some phase when like it goes through that monster and then the monster like reforms and like grabs his cape and just pulls him back. That's still fun. I'm just saying DC has better fight scenes than Marvel, like way better fight scenes.
But then you look at shows like Daredevil, where it's just like, holy shit, them long takes.
Yeah, that's really fucking good. Like
the fact that season 3 had a 10-minute long one, mind you, there was a lot of hidden cuts, but holy shit.
Yeah, that's why I'm so baffled. I think like, I don't know.
But like the thing
Marvel
is, like when they're superheroes, like it got so boring that in WandaVision they had a battle of tots. The ship of Thesis. You take it apart and add new things.
But see, I like that because at least that is different from the same dunk, 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 dunk. You're probably just hearing this as like slabs of meat hitting against each other because that's what their fight scenes are. Just slabs of meat hitting against each other. I remember even people like praising the fight scenes in Winter Soldier.
I mean, there was the cool knife scene, but it's just that's about it.
Well, where he drops the knife and like,
yeah, when they're like,
I still think that looks kind of meh. I mean, like, because they still do a lot of cuts there, right?
Yeah.
Like people praise the ship fight where he's just like, all right.
What? Where his face is getting fucking caved in?
No, like, is that the first fight scene? Yeah.
I don't
the first fight scene is like he on the ship.
Yeah, with the French dude.
Yeah, he's like, all right, have at me.
I'm gonna take my helmet off.
Yeah, and then he's like, cuts. I won. I was like, what the fuck? I barely saw what fucking happened. Wonder Woman, when people, I mean, sorry, not Wonder Woman, Black Widow. I was about to say Black Widow when she came down and like she beat up a bunch of people. I'm like, there's too many cuts. I hate these fight scenes. They're boring. They're like literally filler things to the next dialogue. That's what Marvel probably has better than anyone else is the dialogue. The dialogue is what sells.
Sometimes the dialogue can be a bit too cheesy though.
Yeah, true. I won't lie. I mean, but like,
you didn't see that coming? Now he's fucking dead. That's what you get. Boner.
But yeah, what, you didn't see that? That's what sorry. I just remembered.
And then he fucking dies.
But oh, now I'm just stuck on that. That's really funny. But I'm so happy for Shang-Chi because it has really good dialogue and it also has really good fight scenes. A little bit of CGI at the end, but I'm this is just, I don't want to like shit on that as much because it's already like pushing boundaries of Marvel fight scenes so much.
The fact that it's grounded.
Yeah, the fact that I'm like, okay, it's not grounded. Shang-Chi is kind of insane. That's why I also like it because I'm tired, and I mean tired of fucking Earth. Like I am so tired of Earth. Please just. I don't know why Marvel is so insistent on Earth when
there's a whole universe out there to be explored.
Yeah, I mean, why I like Shang-Chi is because it's Earth, but it's also like
mystical parts.
Yes, it's the mystical parts. I'm just like, yes, this is another world. Bring me to more new worlds. I love this. And it's really fucking cool. I'm just so speechless about how fun that movie was. Dialogue was good and everything was good in that, and yeah, so it was such a huge leap forward in what I thought Marvel shit could be, right? Where I'm like, and fight scenes anyways, because the dialogue's the same pretty much, but it's still good dialogue and it suits the movie. That the moment I saw the CGI fight scene at the end, I'm just like, I'm going to let it pass because
the rest held up.
Yeah, because it's held, a lot of this held up so much. It's like me with Guardian. Well, I mean, Guardians was such a huge leap forward as well because they actually took the risk.
I can't believe we haven't mentioned the Suicide Squad's fight scenes yet.
Because they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, that Harley Quinn one. Like, goddamn.
Dude, the Harley Quinn one, the fucking John Cena versus like fucking
Rick Flag.
Yeah, Rick Flag. The around the helmet shit. The fight scene at the very end, he's just like, "You're like traitor to the or
Yeah.
it's like this is amazing. It works
Because it wasn't just the same thing. He just tried new things every fight.
I know, and I'm so happy. Why I like DC a lot more. Like, probably not like producer wise. Producer wise, it's still kind of shitty. But why I like the directors more, right? And I guess I can give the producers this, or like the people who are funding these movies this, is the fact that they give directors chances to do what they want.
The Suicide Squad is literally its own thing, which is one of my favorite things about it. It has characters you've seen before, but it's just, it can be its own thing.
Yeah. Why I like DC, right, as well, is like I just said, like, they give directors their own spin, their own flair to that certain movie.
You can tell who's movie.
Yeah. But in Marvel films, it's you gotta
stick with the plan, because you have this big thing planned, and if you can't shoehorn it in.
And the one time they do allow it is in Guardians, and now every space thing has to be Guardians. Now I like Thor Ragnarok, I really do, but I'm not gonna lie, that's just more Guardians. It's like aesthetic wise, it's just Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not really its own thing. It's not like Thor world where it's a lot of magic and
Asgard, Norse mythology.
It's not like magic and like electronic shit combined together. It's mainly just technology shit, just in space.
It's just colors,
Guardians.
bright color things.
Yeah, which was Guardians. I still like Thor Ragnarok. It's just now everything that's going to be happening in space, I'm going to assume that
James Gunn, that's the one, not one. Gunn has left his impacts.
Yes, he let his. Yeah, so it's going to be kind of the same, because Marvel likes to keep everything intact, kind of samey.
Which is kind of why I haven't been following it, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I think Shang-Chi is it's not like a huge step in the right direction, because they just show like things that like are just a bigger universe, which I liked on Earth. Oops, like a bigger universe on Earth, which I'm really not like happy about, and like explore like the more hidden areas. Like I want like a Harry Potter type of like new world on Earth.
The invisible worlds.
Yeah. I would love that, because that's what Shang-Chi was kind of touching at. It didn't like fully dip its fucking hand in. It just dipped a toe. And I think what I've also found disappointing was Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange is
cool.
Got a cool director coming up with it. So I'm like, I hope the fuck Marvel lets him go out. Yeah, I hope Marvel, like the people behind Marvel, are like, let him go batshit insane with this. Please
let there be one scene with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in that movie. If he is in No Way Home.
Yeah, I just want him to have his own flair to it. I just really want that. Because the first Doctor Strange was a Marvel film with one thing new to it, which is weird. Doctor Strange should go batshit insane instantly.
Yeah, that's why I'm really looking forward to the Multiverse of Madness. It's just the opportunity.
I mean, like the only batshit insane thing that they jumped into with Doctor Strange, because when I first watched that movie, right, I had faith, because the moment he gets his soul pushed out, he's you're going to go fucking everywhere. A ton of shit's going to happen to you.
That one sequence,
Yeah. And then it's just like, cool. Any more of that? No.
You got the mirror dimension.
Yeah, you get the mirror dimension, and that's it. And it's just like, okay, I get it. You watched a lot of fucking Inception. I don't care. But even though, don't get me wrong, I still liked the mirror dimension. The mirror
cool effects,
dimension, yeah, it's really cool. Can't wait to see that in home something.
Spider Home
dimensions. Yeah, I can't wait for that. And then but like again, Doctor Strange is so insane that like even the Dormammu His dimension looked boring as hell. It's all dark, and he's like a purple like wave thing. I'm just like, yeah. Dormammu could be so much cooler.
Well, I feel like now that Marvel has the opportunity to really go batshit, I feel like Doctor Strange was their first. This is kind of risky because it's so out there. Like space is one thing, but like mystic arts is another.
Yeah, but when Shang-Chi does more kind of mystic shit, then, which by the way, have you watched Shang-Chi?
I haven't.
All right, well, there's a lot of Doctor Strange references in it, because it's
that
magic,
Doctor is really strange
because it's magic based, which
and
is cool.
he's the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes, he isn't in it, but he's like, there's a lot of magic shit in it, which is pretty fucking cool, because that's Shang-Chi's also kind of territory with magic.
Mysticism.
Oh, Shang-Chi was just a good film. I just want more action scenes like that, which we're not going to get. I think they're going to be like, no, only Shang-Chi gets those type of fight scenes, because that's his like gimmick or whatever.
But yeah, there's one thing I can't wait for though in Marvel movies. Your mom.